Mhm. Hello, hello, blissful parents out there. Michelle Abraham, your host of the Blissful Parenting Podcast. I am here today with a really special guest, Amie Hutton. Hi, Amie. How are you?
Hello, I'm hot right
Yes,
now,
we
but I'm doing good.
are in a heat wave in both of our provinces right now, so we're both sweating. Coming to you live today. But let me tell you a little bit more about Amie. So, Amie is an amazing youth advocate. So she's really advocating for girls, especially 11 to 16 years old or 11 to 14 years old, creating a safe space for them in school and beyond. And Amie has she's written she's a five-time international best-selling author and compiler. She's a transformational speaker, workshop facilitator, youth diversity advisor, and she's helping educators facilitate safe spaces for young female students so they can instill connection, inclusion, and courage in themselves. And this is oh so important, especially post-pandemic or during pandemic, as our numbers of our teenage suicides are going up and our teenage girls especially need some support. So, Amie, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. I'm very honored and thank you for having me on your show today.
Awesome. Well, let's dive right in, Amie. You have a story as to why you're here today and why this is so important to you. So, take us back to that story of how it all began for you.
Yeah, would love to. So, growing up, going to school, grades 1, grade 2, grade 3, there always that first day school jitters, like who's my teacher, where are my friends, where's my desk, like, things like that. And that was me, like grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, I was a little nervous going to school and things and so on. In grade 3 though, things started to be different. And in grade 3, the teachers noticed that I was having struggles in my school, like my learning and my academics. Like I was struggling with all the core subjects, the grammar, the spelling, the math, and the comprehension. So the teachers had a meeting with the guidance counselor and my parents and said, we want to put Amie into special education. Now, at that point in the 1980s, there was an actual segregated class for special ed. And I now know now today it's a bit more integrated. However, back then they wanted to put me into a special segregated classroom. And my parents said, no, she struggled in her growing up years. She had some struggles when she was a baby and so on and so forth. Yet, please don't segregate her. Please don't pull her into special ed. What if we were to put her into grade 3 again? So, have her repeat grade 3, and then you give her extra help, pull her out of the class and help with her. And we'll work with her too at home with the homework and so on and so forth. And remarkably, the teachers agreed. So, how that all worked out, I have no idea, but that's when the bullying started. So I redid grade 3 and I was seen as the new kid in the class, but really I wasn't because that was the school I had gone to. So, but that's when the name calling started. And I was called names, example, stupid, ugly, dumb, retarded, and a loser, and many more names that kids use. And so that first day jitters turned into every day of going to school from grades 3 all the way up to grade 8. And by grade 7, after hearing these words for the first 4 years, 5 years, I thought I was those things. My self-esteem was really low. I didn't believe in myself and things like that. And then it got worse. In grade 7, I was actually physically attacked in the locker room. I was, because I had repeated grade 3, my chest developed a lot earlier than some of the girls. And a girl in grade 8 came up behind me and she grabbed me by my bra strap and flung me around in circles. And then she let go and I went flying into a locker. And, battered and bruised, didn't know who I could trust, didn't know what happened. And all I can remember is just the laughing. And finally, when the teacher did come into the room, she looked at me all red in the face, and I couldn't tell her who did it. And I was scared too because I didn't want the bullying to happen again. So I was still bullied and tormented all the way up to grade 8. But in grade 8, I started to be different or making a change in myself. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start speaking up a little bit more. I'm going to start using my voice, asking for help and letting the teachers help me. There's a memory that comes to mind, and I was a former Girl Guide, and that was one of my safe spaces, was being involved in Girl Guides. And there's a day called Thinking Day around the world where Girl Guides and Boy Scouts are encouraged to wear either their full uniform or a partial uniform or something to school. And I did. I wore my Pathfinder uniform to school in grade 8. And and grade 7 too, but I remember being in the washroom and coming out of the washroom, um, and the whole class was lined up, and they just started again, like bickering, or like, the names and the put downs and so on and so forth were coming out at to me. And I finally like burst into tears, and I remember yelling, I'm like, at least I'm not hanging around at the mall after school all day. I have places to go and things to do and people to see. And that shut them up for like half a second, because they were so startled that, oh my gosh, like she actually talked back to us. But then they burst into laughing again, and I cried more. And the teacher came out of the classroom and they're like, shush, like, what are you doing? So that's where my drive and my mission to help girls today feel safe in school and beyond, and also working with the educators on, we need to have safe spaces in your school for a girl to come to and say, I was just attacked. And because that does not exist for the junior high, senior high.
No. I think so many of us can relate to your story. I know there were so many parts of that story. I was like, oh yeah, me too, me too. That happened, going into the learning assistant program, like having to work on my spelling, but being taken out of that classroom, but all the eyeballs on you, right? I remember being called stupid and all those things that like, are so ridiculous, but they stay with you as kids. Like they make a big imprint in your soul. I want to say like it makes you believe that you are. It's horrible. And Girl Guides definitely saved me. Being that was definitely a safe space for me too. I was a Girl Guide for 20 years, and I actually am now a Spark leader for my daughters. So yeah, so
What?
Girl Guides gave me so many opportunities and so many different ways to go to different camps and explore different places. I hiked Mount St. Helens. I went to Switzerland, our
Yeah.
chalet. I've been to camps where I learned how to ride a motorcycle and windsurf in Ontario, and like so many crazy things, amazing things happen from Girl Guys. But I feel like
Yeah.
girls today, like I wish that I stayed in it because my friends were still in it. Had my friends not stayed in it, I maybe wouldn't have stayed in it. But I'm so thankful I did. I'm so thankful that I had that space. But now we need to create something different that's within the school system, because that's external, that's an outside activity from the school system. So what's your experience been like in the last few years with schools, kids, and what is available for them?
It's interesting because teachers and people I've spoken with, they're like, oh, yeah, we take this very seriously. And I'm like, you do and you don't. Because yes, there may be a guidance counselor, yet that guidance counselor is looking after the whole entire school of, I don't know, we'll say 200 kids or more, depending on the level. And you have one guidance counselor looking after everybody. And there isn't that space for girls to come to. And I want to clarify and acknowledge that yes, boys experience bullying, boys experience harassment, and I know what happens. My target is girls because I'm a girl, and that's where my experience comes from. So please, if you're a parent and you have boys and you're like, well, she's not, looking after my son, there are resources out there too for your son. I am sure of it, and I bless you, and oops, I hope you know things work out for your son. But my target is girls. Um, Now I know, for example, like in some universities or colleges, they have a women's center,
Mm-hmm.
but there isn't anything in that respect for in a high school or even a junior high school.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would love to see change.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What are some things for our parents that are sitting at home right now? They may have girls entering into that, 10 to 15-year-old age range. What are some signs that things are not going well for them that they can start picking up on if they're not?
Yeah, if they used to be very, example, bubbly, happy, outgoing, and they now want to isolate in their room, yes, it just might be because they're a teenager. However, there might be more going on.
Mm-hmm.
So doing your best to have, like, instead of just asking how was school, what did you like about school today? Or what did you like learning about today? Like asking those open ended questions. Another thing to look out for, and this is going a bit of a dark path, so I hope your listeners are okay. You may see your daughter wearing, like it's 30 degrees out, and they're wearing a long sleeve shirt or baggy clothes. Could be one of two things. It could be they are starting to have an eating disorder, that they're cold because they're not eating, or they could be self-harming
Mhm.
on their wrists. They might be self-harming. So those are things to look out for. It also could be, kids, if you're able to be home when your child comes home from school and your child like throws the backpack down. Like I remember me coming home from school many number of times, coming in the door and like just throwing the backpack, like just
Mhm.
letting out that energy of just "Mwah!" Yet I didn't talk to my parents about the bullying. I don't
Mhm.
remember telling them this is what happened or this is what's going on. So just be very aware and
Mhm.
keep going. There's a commercial, I don't know if it's just Alberta or across Canada, but there's a commercial about a dad having some sort of issue or some sort of maybe an argument or something's going on with their daughter or his daughter or child. And you hear the footsteps and you hear the slamming of the door. And the father writes a text because that's how a lot of kids are liking to communicate right now. Sent a text to his daughter and also yelling it up to the second story, I love you, or I still love you. And the response came back through the phone saying heart with a heart to you too.
Mhm.
So it's just never giving up, that keeping on with your child of I love you, I'm here to listen. Starting that, I've seen some parents, or I've heard of some parents, like it's like a journal, and you
Mhm.
can write to your daughter and the daughter can write to you, or things like that. Just find different ways to communicate would be a
Mm.
suggestion as well,
That
and what
reminds me of
else to
like
look
work.
for.
Yeah, that reminds me of working in like a childcare center. We used to have to write like the end of the shift, like how the shift was for the next team coming in and taking over. That's a really great idea. I like
Yeah.
that. And one of the things that I've just learned recently as my parenting as my parenting skills are developing, and my kids are younger, they're 8 and 5 right now, but we do get the worst of their behavior because we are considered a safe space, or when we're getting their worst behavior, to remember that it's because we are their safe space. I think that's really important for parents to know that, and to understand that that throwing down of the backpack and that like releasing of like aggression when they get home is not because we've done something wrong or they're mad at us. It's just that this is their safe space that they can let loose in. And it's actually a good thing, right? Am I wrong about that? Or it's actually a good thing?
Yeah, that's good. And the other caveat to that, and again, we all know this to be true, that unfortunately sometimes the home is actually not a safe space
Right. Mm-hmm.
for that girl to come home to for whatever reason, and there's a variety
Mm-hmm.
of reasons. So having safe spaces outside of the home, or for a girl at least to feel safe in her own skin when she's at home, um, is very important and needed.
Mm-hmm. What can we do as parents to support our girls?
So we've talked about that with like the
Yeah.
communication book or journal,
Mm-hmm.
but just and we all have it. Put the cell phone down, please, mom,
Mm-hmm.
and engage with your child.
Yeah.
Engage with your daughter. There's a brilliant quote. I'm thinking I need to write down who it is. I'm pretty sure it's Toni Mills. She's an author. Oprah interviewed her many years ago, and Toni Mills said, "Do your eyes light up when your daughter, your child, enters the room,
Mm-hmm.
or is it your hair's a mess, your shirt's untucked, your pants are grubby?" All kids, and adults too, but talking about kids, all kids just want to be seen and heard,
Mm-hmm.
know that their words matter and that they're valued and celebrated.
Mm-hmm. I've also heard recently too that 5 minutes of connection, eye connection, just connection, goes so far to fill
Yeah.
them. and that's only
Yeah.
5 minutes. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be longer than that, but only 5 minutes does so much good.
Yeah. I've also heard, and through the whole COVID situation, I've seen some parents, some of my friends who are parents or other groups that I'm a part of, that they're frustrated because of the online learning school and the online the homework and so on and so forth. And give a bit of grace to that, and also find out, like, really listen into what your children is really engaged with. So for example, is your daughter really like hockey or gardening or, I don't know, pets? Can you engage then with her to do research about gardening or start a garden together and get involved in her passions
Mm.
as much as you're able, and just connect with her that way as well, as another suggestion.
That's a great suggestion. I love it. I try to learn Roblox with my son, but it's like a whole other language. But yeah, I love that. Such a
Yeah.
great, so
Yeah.
great
Yeah,
suggestion.
them teach you.
Yeah, exactly.
Have your son teach you about robots.
Yeah, be the student.
Yeah.
That's a great plan. I love it. What's needed out there in their schools right now? What's needed to create a safer space?
Well, this dives into things that I've done with educators and a program I've developed for them. And it's all about just having that connection, being vulnerable, um, showing compassion, and really having good communication. And a lot of it, too, kind of we touched on it a moment ago, is let the student be the teacher.
Mm.
Like, have the teacher, there's a phrase that a business teacher of mine has said, and he's like, zipit.com. Like, zip, teacher, zip your lip and let the student start asking the questions. And if you ask just like an open ended question, that'd be great too. And if a student comes to you and says, hey, I was just attacked in the girls' locker room, or I'm being called all these names or whatever, I know there's a fine line with teachers and students and how much you can share and personally and things like that. In this case, though, if a student has just come to you and said, I was called XYZ, or I was attacked in the locker room, if you yourself as the teacher was bullied as a child,
Mhm.
it's okay to say, you know what? The hashtag me too. Like,
Mm.
I was also bullied, or I was also called names, or
Mhm.
things like that. So the student can feel connected, and the teachers being vulnerable and sharing. Like, thinking back to my day, if I had any of the teachers that said, you know what, Amie, I was also called names, or I was like you too, developed a lot earlier, and I was also attacked in the locker room
Mhm.
when they were in school. So then it would have given me that sense of, oh, I'm not alone.
Mhm. Connection is so huge. My goodness. Yeah. So you have created something really unique that is creating a space for girls this summer. Tell us a little bit about it.
I'm so excited. So, coming July 24th and 25th, yep, July 24th and 25th, is part one of a 2 weekend virtual summer camp.
Cool.
And I'm targeting in on girls age 11 to 14. And we're going to talk about mindfulness. We're going to open the floor to discussion about what does it mean to be brave. We're going to do activities and create a lot of different, like, art and drawing and mural collage creation around, being aware and protected, looking at women in media. Like, the whole Photoshop thing is bonkers.
Mhm.
And so we're going to really look at that, and also activities around, positive body image, and what else we got? Like, yeah, the safety and having social media safety, and just being proud of who you are, and
Mhm.
learning mindfulness tips, and just that I've pulled it into 2 weekends because there's so much stuff and
Mhm.
content and activity that I'm doing with these girls, that I had to spread it out over 2 weekends.
Mhm.
And you can choose to do either or, yet full meal deal, do both. And if
Mm.
they sign up for both, there's a bonus package that's actually worth $500 on its own.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah. So it's July 24, 25,
Hmm.
and then August 10, 11, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Mountain Standard.
Hmm.
And it's going to be structured similar to what at least the kids in Alberta know when they go to school. So there will be 2 breaks in that 9 to 3 period where they can refresh themselves, have nutrition break, and so on and so forth. So that's what it's going to be, and I'm so excited to help these girls. I've done a couple of half day, like virtual, like a freebie version of
Hmm.
just the 4 hours, and the feedback from the parents and the girls especially are like, I felt safe enough to share things that I've never shared before.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So the
Amazing.
feedback on the half day that I ran last month was amazing. So I know going forward, the full meal deal is going to be so powerful. Like,
Mm.
I'm just imagining the transformations that will happen and the ripple effect
That's
will how that
awesome.
will work out.
And especially before school starts too, those girls get their encouragement, bravery, encourage all up before school starts again. That'd be fantastic. So so this is virtual. So anyone, anywhere in the world, we have a lot of Americans in
Yeah.
our blissful parenting community. You can also attend because it's virtual. So no matter where you are in the world, parents, you have an 11 to 14-year-old daughter. This would
Yep.
be a great place for them to be in the next couple of weeks. So,
Yeah.
Amie, will you leave us a link as to where to sign up to register?
Yes. So how about when we're done this, I will pop into your Facebook. Actually, if you can send that
Right?
to
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
and then I'll post. It's a landing page, so it's a big long
Perfect.
address. Um,
Okay.
but if you send me the information, I will put it in. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to email me. I'm open to questions and the bonuses. I'll talk about the bonuses. So if you come into the full meal deal, like get both
Mhm.
weekends, your daughter will receive a one-on-one 30-minute Zoom with me before July 24th to check in on feelings and how you doing, like, what's going on. They will receive a one-on-one 30-minute after August 11th to check in again on the follow-up and how you're doing and do you have any questions, or let's share your wins kind of thing. There's also going to be, the date I believe is around the 20th of August,
Mhm.
a party, like a celebration party with everyone who's done both weekends, and sharing our wins and connecting more and things like that. I've also designed so I've learned about another app for the phone called Discord,
Mhm.
and it's a messenger service that kids are using
Mhm.
or tweens are using. So we're going to have a Discord group where you can talk in between the two camps. And then what else is coming in the bonuses? Oh yeah, I've written a ebook for girls about how to be a wonder girl, which was where I started years ago when I was developing my business. So that ebook will also be sent to the girls after they complete both camps, because it's a reminder of all the activities you just have done and things like that. So like $500 worth of extras and fun and connection, like I would sign my daughter up for
Yeah, my
both
daughter's got
weekends.
6 more years till she's 11, but she's gonna be there. Keep doing
Yeah.
it. That sounds
Yeah, both
awesome.
weekends. Yeah, both
Yeah,
weekends. So if can I share the price point?
yeah, for sure.
So if you buy one of the weekends, it's $297. If you do the first weekend and you were like, oh, I want to, now I saw the change, I want to get my daughter in the second weekend, you
Mhm.
would still have to pay $297.
Mhm.
So what I've done, if you do it combo, like buy them both together,
Mhm.
it's $497,
Awesome.
which is $100 savings. Plus you get all those bonuses I just mentioned.
That sounds awesome. Very cool. And if to put it in perspective, sending my son to bike camp week this in August is $650. So
Yep.
there
So
you
it's
go.
reasonable.
It's
It's really
it's a
reasonable.
huge value in that 2 weekends, and that's amazing. So
Yeah.
thank you, Amie, for all that you do. And those parents out there that you have girls, I think this is so beneficial, and especially I know with Amie's background and her story, her personal story, plus all her education and experience that she's done. what a valuable experience their girls are going to have. So, Amie, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for sharing what you do, and good luck to you in the camp. And parents, reach out to Amie if you have any questions on anything to do with your girls or about the camp. So, until next time, parents, thanks, Amie. Any last words for our parents out there?
Just remember that your child is going through a lot right now, just like you are. And the dealing with the COVID and what is going on with school, your child may not know up from down right now. And that's okay. Just give them the space and keep loving them, even if they say they hate you, they do love you.
Yeah.
And just keep on keeping on. And what I also like to say when I do my Facebook lives is, until next time, be brave, be bold, and be yourself.
Ooh, I like that. Awesome. So, parents out there, you can encourage your kids to do this as well as you be brave, be bold, and be yourself. So, thanks again, Amie. Awesome. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.